जी, अस्सलाम वालेकुम students. I hope you are all fine. Uh, Welcome to today's lecture. Appears that only one student has joined. That's very bad. Okay, I hope others will join too. So let's uh, get started. Okay, uh, we had started the topic of synchronous motors yesterday in the last class, and we had some stuff to complete. So let's complete that stuff before we go to the questions. And we will be having a condensed discussion because most of the concepts are borrowed from the topic of synchronous generators. Only the ideas are reversed, like the power flow diagram will be reversed. In the synchronous generator, we give it mechanical input and extract electrical output. And here all of the directions of the arrows will be reversed. We give it electrical input and extract the mechanical output. But all the other relationships stays the same. The main equation had some change in the minus and plus signs, which we had already completed. We had completed up till here. We had studied the operation, principle of operation, and the per phase circuit diagram. And in this equation, we saw that there's a very little bit difference from the synchronous generator. In the synchronous generator, the difference over here was that EA was equal to the sum of this and these gadgets. But over here, if you see that EA is the difference of this gadget and these two gadgets. So there's a very subtle difference, but the main principle of operation and all the stuff are the same. So we have now to complete two small subtopics. And before we do that, uh, let me scribble something on the whiteboard so that the idea that I'm sharing becomes clearer to you. So one important thing about the synchronous machines are that they both synchronous generator also runs at the synchronous speed. Synchronous motor also runs at the synchronous speed. Synchronous motor has uh, got a special characteristic, and that special characteristic is that it can run on both leading and lagging power factor. This property is unique to the synchronous motors. If we take the example of induction motors are motors and they are classified as inductive load. So induction motors will always run at a lagging power factor as compared to the synchronous motor. Induction motor will always run on a lagging power factor. And if we consider the topic of synchronous generators, then the power factor is dependent on the load. Okay, so if we consider the synchronous generator, then the power factor is dependent on the load. That means if the load is lagging, the power factor will become lagging. If the load is leading, the power factor will become leading. Okay, on the electrical load type. Okay, but synchronous motor has the unique property that synchronous motor is a motor in which we don't give it any electrical load. Obviously, we give it a mechanical load, and a mechanical load has no power factor. But still it can run on both the leading and lagging power factors. And how we can make it run on a leading or lagging power factor, I'll just show you in a moment. Okay, so there are ways to make it run on the leading and lagging power factor. Can everyone hear me? Can everyone hear me? Okay, so how I can make the induction motor uh, to run at both the leading and lagging power factor. Obviously, not at the same time. Either it could be run on leading power factor or on lagging power factor. The mechanisms to do this is there are two mechanisms. One is to uh, change the field current, and I'm calling the field current as IF. F stands for the field, I stands for the current. And when the motor is overexcited means that IF has been increased. Okay, so if the motor is overexcited, the motor runs at leading power factor. Okay, and if I uh, make the motor underexcited means IF has been reduced. Okay, so if I make the motor underexcited means that IF has been reduced. Okay, IF has been increased, IF is reduced, and if the IF is reduced, then the motor runs at a lagging power factor. Okay, so always remember this terms overexcited and underexcited. So if someone says if the synchronous motor is overexcited, so over means to increase something, excitation is the field excitation. So if you increase the IF, the synchronous motor will begin to run in a leading power factor. That means the current drawn from the supply will lead the voltage of the supply. And one more thing to notice is that in the synchronous generator, we took the reference as the load, which was V5. Okay. And over here also V5 is taken as the reference, but V5 is not now the electrical load, but it is the electrical power being consumed from the supply. So we take the reference of the voltage, per phase voltage, which is the input electrical supply, and this I may be leading in reference to that, or I may be uh, lagging in reference to that. So how I can make it into leading and lagging? I've just told one mechanism. One mechanism is to change the field parameter IF. Second mechanism is to change the load, change the mechanical load. Okay. So how we can change the mechanical load? If I make the mechanical load, if I increase the mechanical load, if I increase the mechanical load, the motor will run at lagging power factor. Lagging power factor. Okay, and if I reduce the mechanical load, okay, let's call it mechanical load. So if I increase the mechanical load, the motor runs at a lagging power factor. If I reduce the mechanical load, the motor runs at leading power factor. Okay, so always remember this brief flow chart that I've just told you. So there are two ways to make the power factor of the synchronous motor uh, into the leading mode or into the lagging mode. The first mechanism is you change the field or the excitation of the synchronous motor, and the way you do it is to change the field current. And if you make a motor over excited, that means if you increase the IF, then the motor runs with a leading power factor, and if you make it under excited, that is you decrease the IF, then the motor runs at a lagging power factor. The other mechanism to make the synchronous motor run with a leading or lagging power factor is to change the mechanical load. And if you increase the mechanical load, the motor runs at a lagging power factor. And if you decrease the mechanical load, the motor runs at a leading power factor. Okay, obviously, out of these two techniques, one is more easier to do than the other, because if the motor is driving a particular load, maybe it's installed in an industry or somewhere, so you cannot obviously change the mechanical load. If the motor is for some special purpose, then you have to use that same mechanical load, irrespective of the fact that the motor will run with the leading power factor or the lagging power factor. So the most obvious thing is to change the field of the motor. Okay, because this thing is not in our control. This is according to the specification. So normally you would be looking to change the field, which is in our hands, and there is some R adjustable resistor on the rotor, which is providing the primary field. You can adjust that R adjustable to quickly adjust the IF and make the motor run with the over excitation or the under excitation. And why would you want to change the power factor of the synchronous motor? You would want to do it because as I've already told you in the ENA course, I think you have also been taught the ENA course by me. So we had this special discussion on the power factor, and I told you that this power factor is also displayed on the electrical meter which is installed on the outside of your house. And the power factor closer to 1, but that means closer to unity means that your bill will be optimized. That means you are going to pay for how much electricity you have consumed. But if the power factor becomes bad, and normally in your homes the power factor is only in the lagging mode because you have inductive loads in your home like motors and stuff, ceiling fans, induction motor are always lagging power factor, and your ceiling fans in your home and your water motor, they are all induction motors. So you will have a lagging power factor, and when the power lagging power factor becomes something like lesser than 1, like it becomes zero point 0.7 or zero point 0.6, then that is a hugely unoptimized way to consume electricity. Because what happens is that the power triangle is this is your real power. Okay, this is a revision for you again, and this is your reactive power. Okay, so the real power is consumed in the resistive components, and the reactive power is consumed in the reactive elements like C and L, inductor and capacitor. And the third side is called the this apparent power. Okay, so the K electric charges you for the apparent power. Okay, and you already know that the power factor is the theta of this angle. Cos theta of this angle is the power factor, which is the ratio between the real power and the apparent power. So if the power factor is close to unity, your this triangle will look like this. If the power factor is close to unity, that means theta approaches 0, then the power factor approaches 1, because power factor is equal to cos theta and cos of 0 is 1. You already know this. So if the triangle is like this, then you are paying for this quantity. You are paying for this quantity, and this quantity is almost similar to the real power that you are consuming. But if the power factor becomes very bad, let's say it becomes like this, and theta becomes close to 90 or something, that means that your this theta becomes close to 90. That means you are consuming this much power, real power, and you are paying for this much power. So you can see you are consuming very less power and you are paying for very high amount of power. So this is a very uh, suboptimal way to use electricity, because actually you are just consuming this and you are paying for the apparent power. So K electric charges you for the apparent power. So in the first case, the apparent power and real power are almost same. Apparent power and real power are almost same, and you are paying for the apparent power. But in this case, the apparent power is much larger than the real power, and you end up paying for the apparent power. So you are paying much more than what you are using. So bringing back to the discussion, why would you want a synchronous motor to run in a leading power factor, is that you could use it as a power factor correction device. And what is a power factor correction device? For example, you have a large amount of inductors in your home, like inductive motors and ceiling fans. You have a large amount of those. So your power triangle will tend to look like this. And in order to make it look like this, what you are going to do is you are going to attach capacitors. Okay, because of inductors, you are having this reactive power side, this vertical side, and you know the effect of a capacitor is opposite to that of an inductor. So you can install capacitors in your home to make the magnitude of this vertical side smaller and smaller, and to make the power triangle look like this. So a capacitor is a device in which the power factor is leading. As you know, in an inductor it is lagging. So similarly, in order to have a power correction, a power factor correction, you could make a synchronous motor to run with a leading power factor, so that it can cancel out your lagging loads, and you make your power factor triangle to look from this to this, where this side is more optimal for you, because in this way the real power consumed and the apparent power are almost equal, and K electric bills you for the apparent power. And this is very suboptimal, because you are consuming very less real power, but you end up paying much more for this apparent power. So power factor correction is, you want to get rid of this reactive power side. This reactive power side is normally coming from inductive loads, and a capacitive load can cancel this inductive load effect. That means it can bring the reactive power closer to zero, to make the power factor triangle look like this, or the power triangle to look like this. So in order to cancel a lagging load, you can attach a leading load, and a leading load may be a capacitor, or a leading load could be a synchronous motor acting as a capacitor. That means you could make it run in a leading power factor mode by making it overexcited, or in this case you could also adjust a mechanical load, because your synchronous motor is now not actually a device to do the mechanical work. You are just using it as a power factor correction device. So you could just adjust the mechanical load and make it run into a leading power factor machine by reducing the mechanical load. So both of these techniques are available. So you could use the second approach if you want to make it run like a power factor correction device, or in the, if your machine synchronous motor is using as being used as a primary device to do the mechanical work, then you can only have the option to change its excitation. Okay, just hold on for a minute, I'll be back. Okay, sorry for the interruption, I'm back. So now we have almost completed the theory of this device, synchronous motors, but we need to consult some excerpt from the book. So I am sharing the book with you now. What happened to the menu? Okay. So just let me share the book with you for a moment. Okay, so I hope you can all see this book, and the way to make the synchronous motor run with the leading and lagging power factor I've already told you, but now we are going to look at the diagrams. Okay, the first diagram here is very important. This is figure 555. This shows the torque speed characteristic of a synchronous motor. Okay, so what is a speed regulation of a synchronous motor? So just as we have studied that the voltage regulation of the machine, such as a generator, was voltage, terminal voltage at no load. It was minus terminal voltage at full load, and it was divided by V full load. Okay, and these sort of things are calculated for generators, because in the generators the output uh, of the generator is being taken as a voltage. But since now we are dealing with a motor, so in a motor we have another analogous term which is called speed regulation, and this is equal to the speed of the motor at no load minus the speed of the motor at full load, and divided by the speed of the motor at full load. Okay, so This means that when you are going to fully load a motor, that means you are loading it with a mechanical load. Over here, it means when you are fully loading a generator with some load. So this load is the electrical load. And whenever you have some electrical load attached to it, you know that the terminal voltage falls, except for the case of leading loads, as we have seen in the case of a transformer. So we have studied this equation for transformers and also for the induction motors. Okay, so this is applicable for machines, not induction motors, synchronous generators. Okay, let me correct this. For transformers and synchronous generators, because the output is in the form of electrical output. So we have been able to calculate the voltage regulation. You can also calculate it in the form of percent by multiplying it by 100. Speed regulation can also be found as a percentage by multiplying it by 100. The key thing to note is that the synchronous motor always run at the synchronous speed. Even when the load is increased or decreased, the synchronous speed is maintained. Okay, so what this thing shows us is that no matter how much load you put on the machine, this torque is showing the mechanical load, its speed will be unchanged. Okay, so the speed regulation of a synchronous motor is always 0%. That's what it is trying to tell, because no matter how much load you put on the machine, its speed is not going to decrease. For example, if the speed was decreasing or increasing, then the line should have been something like this or something like this. But since its speed is constant at the synchronous speed, so you can see that it is just a vertical line, no change on the speed if you change the torque or the mechanical load on the machine. So this is a very important thing to note, and the formula for the synchronous speed is here, and over here also it says, see, the speed of the synchronous motor will be constant regardless of the load. Okay, so if you are making the changes in the load, only the thing is that the machine will begin to run at a leading or lagging power factor, but its mechanical speed will stay the same. And the formula, we have already studied this. This is for the third time we are looking at this formula. Same formula was applicable in induction motor. Same formula was application in synchronous generator. And now the same formula is applicable here for synchronous motor. The only difference was that in the induction motor, there is a concept of a slip because it is an induction based machine and it cannot run at the synchronous speed. So induction motor is always running at a speed slightly lower than the synchronous speed, but the synchronous motor will only run at the synchronous speed. It will never become higher or lower than the synchronous speed. Then again, the torque induced formula is again the same as we have seen in the case of synchronous generator, where torque is the angle between the vector of the terminal voltage and the vector of EA, armature induced EMF. The same torque angle is being used over here, and we will see in a moment why torque angle is important. Okay, so same formula as we have this, we had derived this for the synchronous generator, so nothing to do here. Okay, now it says what is the effect of the load changes on a synchronous motor. So this is one of the way in which we can change the power factor of the synchronous motor. So quickly, if we go through this, it says, okay, this para is very important. If the load on the shaft of the motor is increased, that means the mechanical load, the motor will become slow down. Okay, the more rotor will initially become slow down, but when it does, what happens that the torque angle will become larger, because this torque angle is the angle which is between the rotor and the stator fields, as we had studied before. So if one of the sides, rotor side, becomes slower, this angle will obviously increase. So this same torque angle will also impact uh, the phase diagram of the machine, because this is the angle between the V phase and the armature induced torque, as we have already seen in the diagram of the synchronous generator. Now what happens is, as this torque angle becomes more, so the induced torque will become more. Why? Because if we look at the relationship, that torque is dependent on the sine of the angle of the torque angle. Okay, so we know that the sine behavior is like this. The sine behavior between 0 and 180 degree is like this, and between 0 and 90 degrees like this, and normally the torque angle stays between 0 and 90. So as the torque angle increases from 0, then you can see that the y magnitude also increases. Okay, this is torque angle and this is the sine of the torque angle. So as the torque angle increases, the initial relationship between 0 and 90 is also increasing. So the sine of the torque angle will become increased. So that means the torque would also become increased. So the motor that which had slowed down because of the increase in load will become speeded up because the torque induced will also increase as the torque angle increases, and it will again maintain its previous speed. Okay, so it will again, the increase in this torque will speed up the rotor, and the motor will again run at the synchronous speed, but this time with a larger torque angle as we have seen, because when initially the rotor will be become slowed down because of the increased mechanical load, the angle between the stator and the rotor fields also becomes larger, and that same angle is the torque angle, which also impacts the torque. Okay, so how does the diagram with the loading changes look for a synchronous motor? So, okay, this is now a synchronous motor, which is for some average case in which the armature induced voltage is IA and the motor is running at a leading power factor. Okay, the motor is initially running at a leading power factor because the IA is having a positive angle with respect to V5. You can see it is running at a leading power factor. And at some particular case, we are ignoring IARA. Okay, so IARA is being ignored. We are just considering IA J axis. Okay, and since the IA angle is positive and this is 90, so this angle is more than 90. Okay, so this is for a particular load. Now what happens if as I increase the load, EA, which is the armature induced EMF in the synchronous motor, this is a secondary effect. This is dependent on some proportionality factor multiplied by the field of the rotor multiplied by the rotating speed of the motor, because you know that induced EMF is equal to minus the rate of change of flux. Okay, so the induced EMF is in the stator and the change in flux is being caused by the rotor movement. So this is the speed of the rotor, and the strength of the rotor field, which is phi, which is given by IF and other stuff. So EA is dependent on only two variables, which is the rotor field and rotor RPM. Okay, so when we are changing the load, when we are changing the load on the machine, we are not doing anything to the excitation. So IF is constant. Okay, and I'm also saying that omega is also constant because it is a synchronous motor. So the synchronous motor is always running at the synchronous speed. What happens is that only the torque angle, which is the angle between V5 and EA, would change. Okay, so as I increase the load, the angle between V5 and EA will change. So initially the torque angle is lower, then it becomes increased, then it becomes more increased, and then it becomes more increased. So this, because of the increase in the load, the torque angle increases. So the angle between V5 and EA is increasing for each of the cases as the load is increased. But since EA is constant, because this is constant and this is constant, so that means EA is also constant. So the magnitude of EA doesn't change. So whatever the magnitude of EA was here, same magnitude is being taken into consideration. Only it swings down because of the increase in the torque angle, it swings down. So this is a constant radius. Okay, so the magnitude of the EA is not changing. So this is just a circle with a constant radius R. So the magnitude of EA doesn't changing, but since it is swinging down, look what interesting thing happens to the IAJ axis vector. Initially, IAJ axis vector is tilted like this, tilted like this, tilted like this. But when it comes here, it starts to become tilt like this. Okay, in the case where the load is maximum increase and EA has swung down to this value, with the highest torque angle tau 4, what happens is the IAJ axis vector starts swinging in the opposite direction. Initially, it was swinging backwards. Now it has started swinging, which is a case in the lagging power factor. Okay. So as the load is increased, the synchronous motor has changed from the leading to the lagging power factor. Okay. So let me jot it down. As the load is becoming increased, the synchronous motor switches from leading to lagging power factor. Okay, it goes from a leading power factor to lagging power factor. Are there any question in here? Okay, so this is a very important diagram, a good question which comes in the exam. So why changing the load changes the power factor? You look at the working of the synchronous motor. EA is only dependent on K and the rotor field and the rotor RPM. Since we are not doing any change to the field, and the rotor RPM also is constant because a synchronous motor always runs at the synchronous speed. So EA will stay constant, and EA will stay constant, but the torque angle increases, and the torque angle is between the angle between terminal voltage V5 and the armature induced voltage EA. So as that torque voltage increases, torque angle increases, EA will swing down, but having a constant radius. The magnitude doesn't change, the radius stays the same. And finally, we see the effect that the motor changes from the uh, leading power factor to the lagging power factor. Okay, the other thing that we saw was we can also change the field. We can also change the field current in order to bring a change. Okay, so now as we are changing the field current and we know EA is equal to K phi omega, and I know omega is constant. Okay, I know this one is constant because synchronous motor always run at synchronous speed. But now we are changing the phi, okay, because phi is a function. Phi is a function of IF. Okay, you can say phi is a function of IF. So what happens if I increase the IF? EA will also become increased. If I decrease the IF, EA will also become decreased. So we can see this effect in the diagram here, that let's say our synchronous motor was running here, and this is a lagging power factor, as you can see, because IAJ axis angle is swinging in this side and it is less than 90. So that means IA is having a negative angle, as also here. V with respect to V5, IA is having a negative angle. Torque angle is the angle between the sigma between the V5 and EA. And if I start increasing IF, what happens? If I start increasing IF, IA increases. Okay, so this effect is shown over here. As I start increasing the field current, so I'm not increasing this current. Please note this is the armature current and the field is on the rotor. So if I start increasing the IA, what happens is that EA becomes larger and larger. And look at this. This is a condition when the situation is lagging. And this is the condition in which the situation is leading. So as I increase the field excitation from under excitation to the over excitation, the magnitude of EA is increasing. Okay. So now you can see that the radius here and the radius here are different. Okay, R4 is greater than R1. In the previous case, all the radius were same. So this is not a swinging its motion of EA, but it is actually increasing in length. The vector is increasing in the length. And from here, it is a lagging power factor as IAJ axis is swinging in this direction. And over here, IAJ axis is swinging backward. So the motor has turned into a leading power factor from a lagging power factor. So as IF is increased, the machine's EA is increased. And that's why we say over excitation and under excitation, because we are actually changing the field of the machine. Okay, so I hope that this thing is clear. And as the motor goes from the lagging to the leading power factor, look what happens to its current lagging, and over here it becomes unity power factor. So IA is exactly in phase. So this is the condition where it is in unity power factor. Okay, not lagging or leading. And as soon as it again goes further to EA3, it becomes leading, and further increase to EA4, it again becomes leading. So I hope this topic is now clear. We are going to do a practice problem. So for the practice problem, we are looking at problem number this one, 5.1. Okay, so this meeting will end in 5 minutes. So we will rejoin this meeting if the meeting closes. Okay, so now we have a 208 volt, 45 horsepower, zero point 0.8 power factor leading. So in a case of synchronous motor, you can get a leading characteristic or a lagging characteristic. Okay, it is delta connected. That means V phase will be equal to V line, but I line will be equal to under root 3 times I phase, and the per phase circuit is always drawn in the phase parameters. 60 hertz synchronous machine has a synchronous reactance of 2.5 ohm, and they are again ignoring the RA, as was also the case in here. Initially, the shaft is supplying 15 horsepower load. So the initial condition are it is not loaded at the 45 HP rating. It is loaded, okay, and this is always the mechanical rating, okay. So whenever you talk about a motor and the motor mechanical load is mentioned, so that means this is the output mechanical load you have to drive. That means the input power must be greater than this. It should be so much greater than after making up for the copper losses, core losses, mechanical losses. This much has to go to the load. So similar to the case of the synchronous generator, where the rating meant that this is the electrical energy which must go to the load. That means you must provide it with more mechanical energy. So to cater after the mechanical losses and the electrical losses, that much electrical energy is available at the output of the generator. So the reverse is true here. This much mechanical energy must be available at the output. The electrical input must be greater than this. So initially we know that P out is 15 horsepower and 1 horsepower is equal to 746 watt. So P out will be equal to 15 into 746 watts. Okay. So what does it say now? And power factor is 0.8 leading. In the first part, it says sketch the phasor diagram of this motor. Okay, so you want to sketch the phasor diagram of this motor. Okay, so if you want to sketch the phasor diagram of this motor and without any quantities because you have not calculated anything, the phasor diagram would look like this. V phase, it's always taken with a zero angle, and I know I is leading. IA is leading this. So that means EA will look like this and IAJXS will look like this. Okay. So I have already sketched it, and this angle is called tau, and this angle is 0.8 leading. So this angle will be equal to cos inverse of 0.8. Okay. So the only thing that I can populate is this, and V phi is the angle of V phi is this terminal voltage, and per phase terminal voltage is, since it is delta connected, so V phi and VL are equal, they are both equal to 208. So this vector is, this V vector is 208 angle 0. Okay, so this much I can put in the sketch, and other quantities I haven't found so far, so I cannot put on the sketch. Okay, so we have done this. Oh, it also says you have to find the values of IA, IL, and EA. So we have to find these values in order to label the sketch. Let's go back on the whiteboard. Let's go on the whiteboard. We know the equation for the synchronous motor. Let me get rid of this markings. Okay, so we know that for the synchronous motor V phi, I'm supplying it with the voltage, and this voltage is equal to EA plus IA JXS. Okay, so for the synchronous motor, supplied voltage is equal to uh, the drops plus the what I'm supplying to the load. No, we are not supplying, we are actually giving it energy. Supplied energy is equal to uh, uh, the losses in the armature plus the armature induced EMF. Okay, so what we know here and what we